It's private sector association.
Private sector association.
Yes, and the appointment.
Malelangati is the chairman of NAT.
Yes.
In the county. Is he still sitting there as a member?
He is.
Okay. Who among your members is the one representing the private sector?
The one representing the private sector, and we have Jerono Koskei.
How about those in the informal sector in the area?
Informal sector, we have an John Narotich.
Then neighborhood associations?
Neighborhood association, we have Levi and Kenduyu.
What are these associations?
It's an association where we have, in BOMET, we have specifically 3 neighborhoods. We have Kapwen, and we have Silipwet, and we have BOMET. So those associations are nominated as a member.
So Flavia represents Kapwen, Silibwet, and BOMET.
Yes.
As neighborhood associations.
Yes, Chair.
You're sure?
I'm sure.
Okay. Chairman, you've given the governor to appear back here on 30th of June, right?
No, we have directed that all these issues,
yes.
The issue of independence, which touches on these other queries, be handled by 30th of June.
Okay. Now, lastly, because I wanted to get a guide so that I either stop asking the question or but I'll just ask the last one. From the documents that you've given us, has this board ever sat?
Yes, they have been sitting at least once in every quarter.
Once in every quarter?
Yes.
Are you able to look at the documentations, the report by the auditor?
Yes, and we have provided evidence to that effect.
Check your response to the auditor's query on unconfirmed recruitment. It's at page 12. You are there?
Page 12, yes.
Page 12 or 15?
Yes.
The auditor says, further, in paragraph 2, management did not provide work plans and minutes as proof that the board met and executed its mandate as required by Section 23, subsection 1 of the Urban Areas and Cities Act 2011, which requires the board to meet at least once in every 3 months.
And we have attached minutes. We look for the minutes of their meetings for every quarter, which we have attached.
I'm sure you were listening to the governor when he was responding. And one of the responses he made is that I want us to speak to one document. I know you're still looking for the document. If you were listening to what the governor was saying, he admitted that there's a problem. He still admitted that because of lack of resources, this board has not been able to perform its functions as required by law. How were they able to meet? If, as at the time of the audit, you were unable to provide documents to support the auditor's query. And so that you don't contradict governor, I wanted to guide you that that was his response, and these things goes to the record of this committee. Chairman, if I could get some
Thank you, Chair. I think we need to be careful so that we don't drive this conversation to the wrong direction. Because by admitting, I was admitting that we've not been able to grant this municipality independence. And that has not mean that we didn't have any work that was going on. He has read out a number of accounts. We've been receiving funds from our donors, our partners, and decisions have been made by the board as much as they didn't have the three areas that you've mentioned, Chairman, managerial and probably financial. But there are things that this board has been able to do. And as relates to the number of meetings, we need also to scrutinize and check the year under review. When was this board constituted? Something like that. So were they able to meet? Because is it within the financial year? Those are some of the things that we could also be, because we've been having debate. Do we follow the calendar year or the financial year? So those are some of the things. But there is evidence, Chairman, that we have demonstrated willingness to move in the right direction. We have not been perfect. That one I admit. There are issues. And that's why I've requested for time to allow me and my people to sort out some of this. Otherwise, if we go through these documents, you will find mistakes, and so many of them, including spelling mistakes, Chairman. Thank you.
Okay, I think I just allowed him to bring the issue of the board because the board is key. You cannot talk about independence when the board is not there in the first place or it's dysfunctional. So I think it was important for him to bring up that issue. So as you go to implement full independency of the municipality, if there are any matters around the board which are not resolved, they should be resolved, including what the auditor has raised on the recruitment process. They must be resolved as well and rectified. So, honorable members, let's proceed to the matter of Longisa. The Longisa Hospital. So the staff, you can arrange yourself appropriately. So I think, Auditor, you can give us a summary of your reports, and just like the municipality, a lot of issues are also around the board. So maybe to manage the process better, I will request that you give us a summary, and then we start with the query on lack of a hospital management committee.
Thank you, Chair. Report of the Auditor General on Longisa County Referral County Government of BOMET. The report is also the use of public resources and a report on effectiveness of internal controls, risk management, and governance. The report on the financial statements, the opinion was a qualified opinion, and it includes inaccuracies in the financial statements, and then there are issues of non-disclosure of receivables. Then we have on roughness, we have lack of approved annual budgets. We have irregular engagement of cash employees. Then there's the service delivery gaps. Then there's lack of hospital management committee. Then there's failure to dispose unserviceable assets. Then lastly, we have expired medical supplies. On report on effectiveness of internal control, risk management, and governance, we have lack of internal audit and audit committee. Then we have weakness in internal control in stores and inventory management. 3, we have lack of standard operating procedures and policies. Then there's lack of risk management strategies. That's a summary of the report. So I read the query on lack of hospital management committee. During the year under review, management had not constituted the hospital management committee to oversee administration, promote the development, approve plans and programs of the hospital, and monitor the utilization of facility improvement financing. This was contrary to Section 17 of the Facilities Improvement Fund Act 2023, which requires the Health Facility Management Committee to consist of not less than 7 and not more than 9 members appointed by the County Executive Committee member responsible for health matters for a term of 3 years. In the circumstances, management was in breach of the law. Thank you, Chair.
Governor, your written response.
Thank you, Chair. Honorable Chair, the facility has since established a functional hospital management committee in compliance with the Act. The committee is now operational and actively overseeing the administration, development, and utilization of resources at the hospital. The HMNC has been constituted in line with Section 17 of the Facilities Improvement Financing Act 2023, which requires the committee to consist of not less than 7 members and not more than 9 members. The members were appointed by the County Executive Committee member responsible for health matters in BOMET County. The appointed members have been given a term of 3 years as stipulated by the Act to ensure continuity and effective oversight of the hospital operations. Perhaps, Chair, I should add that in the year under review, we were in transition. Of course, there was an hospital management board that was in place, but we had to adjust so that we can comply with the Section 17 of the Facilities Improvement Financing Act of 2023.
Okay, Auditor, what is your comment on the management response?
The committee has been established, and the only issue we have with the hospital is also the issue of independence. Still, the hospital is not operating independently.
Please repeat that, I didn't get it.
Okay. The hospital committee has been appointed. However, the operations of the hospital are also not independent from the county executive.
Okay, maybe Governor, you can comment
yes,
on
Chair.
that.
I can confirm to you, Chair, and the members that the hospital now is independent. They are collecting their revenue, and the medical superintendent can confirm that, and the accountant. They are fully independent.
What about the functioning of the committee? Is there any evidence that they are functioning, like maybe minutes of their meeting? Anything to confirm that they are functioning?
Thank you, Honorable Chair. For the committees, we have a hospital management board in place, which meets every quarter. The last meeting we had in December, and we are due to have another one in actually next week for the management board. Thank you.
Chair.
But in your response to this query, you didn't indicate the minutes for the meeting. Just to confirm that the body is there working.
Okay, we submitted, Honorable Chair, we submitted the appointment letters based on the query of the lack of management committee.
Chair, related to what you're asking.
Yes.
Two questions in one. You stated that you have already appointed the committee. What caused the delay in the appointment? Two, how did you handle the transition? Because you indicated there was a management board, then you transited to now appointment. How was the transition handled? Thank you.
That question is through the governor. Honorable members, all questions are directed to the governor, and then the governor decides who to respond. So, Honorable Governor.
Thank you, Chair. You can see the Act is came into effect in 2023, and this report is 2023-2024, and we actually operationalized FIF in July 2024. So, of course, when the Act came into place, there were those few months for transition, of course, getting and constituting the committee, which we have reported to you, Chair, and members, that is now in place. Maybe the only challenge is that we didn't provide evidence that they're actually in charge based on maybe meetings that they've been able to hold, and also evidence of minutes. But I can assure you, Chair, I'm very confident about this because I've also been following keenly that it is fully operational, and we have complied with the prescriptions that we have in the Act, FIF Act 2023.
Members?
Chair, the reason why I'm asking about transition process, were there resources or finances involved? If there were money that was held in the first management, how was it handled transiting now to the committee?
Chairman, and before then, before we operationalized this Act, revenue collection was done centrally, although the facility was collecting on behalf of us, but they were swept into one revenue account. So, and of course, records are there because it's a government. So I don't see any gaps when it comes to transition unless the MedSoup can confirm that there were issues, because we normally keep records. So when you transition, at least like when we moved from NHIF to SHA, if there were any outstanding liabilities, then it has to be handled by the new authority. Similarly, if there were any liabilities, then it transits directly to the new management board.
Honorable Chair, I can confirm that there were no difficulties during the transition period, and it was smooth. Thank you.
The issue of the Hospital Management Committee.
Yes, Chairman.
Yes, proceed.
Thank you. Under the comment by the auditor, I'm just looking at the provisions of the Act, Section 17, which the governor has said he has fully complied with. I also have noticed the documentation attached for purposes of appointment of the management committee. Section 17 requires that they are supposed to be not less than 7 and not more than 9 members. It also provides for specific representation of those membership, including, Honorable Chair, a requirement that the CEC in charge of health should ensure that the members comply with the 2/3 gender requirement. I'm noticing the membership of this committee, at least from the documentations given to us, are all men. That is number one. However, that's not a big issue. My concern is as regards the composition of this membership, because when this law was passed, it had certain important foundations why it had to. Because when it gives us the 7 members, each one of the 7 represent a certain specific interest. For example, there is supposed to be someone who represents women organizations from around the area. There's supposed to be someone who is representing youth from within the area. There's supposed to be someone representing faith-based organizations within the area, and also one who is supposed to be representing vulnerable people from within the area. When you look at these appointment letters, I just pick the 4. The law requires us to have 7 at bare minimum and 9 maximum. We have been given 4. The first one, of course, all of them were appointed the same day, 10th of July, 2024. This is a clinical officer. That's the first appointee. The second is an occupational therapist. The third is hospital administrator, who is an administrator for description purposes. And the fourth one is a public health officer. Such that whether or not these people are appointed, they've been appointed outside the law. The people who the law desired to protect, both in terms of management of the hospital and in protection of the resources, have not been appointed. So I would like to know then from the governor whether the 4 have met the requirement of Section 17 in law. 2, whether there are other people outside. Of course, the law recognizes that the in charge of the facility is a member, that is an ex-official member, as well as the sub-county medical officer. Those ones I am not keen on because they are by law members of this management committee. How about these other interested groups? And 2, they have not been able to give us any document to support the fact that they have managed to transition. This is in the answer to the question by my sister, Senator Beth Siengo, as to how the transition was managed. Chair, when those provisions are provided for in law, they are not there as flowers. They are there to be complied with. I would be very happy to hear how this was done.
Yeah. Governor, you can respond.
Yeah, thank you, and apologies from ICC Health is bereaved, and he was not able to be part of us. But I will request the Metsup to respond and probably lead the whole list.
Okay, thank you, Honorable Chair. Honorable Senator, the list that you have read is for the hospital management team, which is actually a team in the hospital that really supports management in making decisions. For the board, we have 9 members of the board, and they were appointed on the 23rd of May, 2023, sorry, and we have 9 members representing the various groups. I can read through the names of the members of the board. If I can go through them. There is Raymond Tanui, who is the chair of the board. There is Edna Sigei. There is...
Just a moment.
Yeah.
Just a moment, Metsu. The appointments were done when? Because I don't have any document that you're reading. So as to whether you could be reading your own document or the one that we have, let me know. And you said they were appointed on 21st of May.
23rd of May, 2023.
23rd of May, 2023.
Yes.
This act which I'm referring to came into force on 19th of October 2023. So whatever appointments are definitely outside what I'm referring to. Just correct so that we read from the same script. The law I'm referring to came into force on 23rd or 19th, sorry, of October 2023. It commenced on 2nd of November 2023.
Okay. So
That's
this
a
is
clarity from the auditor. The query was in relation to the board or the hospital team.
Store management, sorry. Thank you, Chair.
Can you tell us the difference?
The query is about the hospital management committee. The act does not have provisions for a board.
You are now getting even more confused because, yeah.
Chair, the act requires that the health facility should have a management committee that consists, if you allow me to read, the health facility management committee shall consist of not less than 7 and not more than 9 members appointed by the county executive committee member as follows, in that order that I earlier on listed. So what the law requires us to have in the health facility is health facility management committee. And that is the one that the auditor is making reference to. That is the one that I am inquiring as to the appointment, not the board.
Okay, I think it's clear now. It's clear now. So I think the MEDSUB, through the governor, we are referring to the hospital management committee, not the board. Yeah.
Honorable Chair, for the hospital management committee, we transitioned the board that was there initially into the hospital management committee. Yes.
The answer is shifted, Chairman. From transitioning the board that existed, yet there is a new law in place.
Chair, maybe we need to look at the provisions, if there were any provisions for that. Because if we are complying with the requirements, then I don't see any problem if the board was transitioned to a committee, so long as they are complying with the prescription of the law. I think that should be the issue in this.
Chair, then maybe what Senator Sike is saying, what the governor is saying would be the same, but you see, if you are transitioning the 7 of the 9 board members from the board to the management committee of the hospital, then there should be documentation.
Actually, sorry, Senator Kisang, and through the chair, to just confirm what you are saying. In this law that came into force in November, there is a transition clause, but we don't have those documentations here, and that is where I'm saying we are given for the transition clause provides on how that ought to have happened. I am, of course, alive to the fact that whatever response that you would get here is to align to the question that has come, yet in the course of the audit, what was available is the 4 that we were provided to through the auditor.
Just been shown by the relevant provision, section 17 does not make reference to the transition. It says actually appointment, that the health facility management committee shall consist of not less than 7 and not more than 9 members appointed by the county executive committee member as follows. So there is no provision for transition. It's an appointment within the.
Yes. There is one for transition through you, Chair, kindly. The one that my senior
Senator Hillary had alluded to, that is Section 27 of the same Act.
Yes.
On transitional provisions, where it is stated that all members of the current hospital management board or committees and health facility committees shall continue to operate as per existing regulations up to the expiry of their respective terms.
Oh, okay. That's why it's good to have lawyers in the house.
And so, Chairman,
yeah.
Now to guide, because this is a house of record, this committee, I believe, is doing this for posterity, so that we don't come back again to this later. We have been given a list of 4 members. I believe the MedSoup is trying to get the additional list. As to the formality of all those ones, you know, it's the question. I mean, the purpose of audit is to correct mistakes. The purpose of an audit is to also point out where there are misconceptions and issues missing. We can't be going back and forth. A query is asked, answers are availed, because they've made reference to Annex 7.1. Any other document that is being availed to this committee for whatever purpose, I do not know whether it would be admissible, whether it would help this committee, or it's going to be in future relevant. But I would be glad to hear that list so that we see whether it complies with Section 17 and also is protected by Section 27. Kindly allow the MedSoup to give us that list, Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. We have the list which we can be able to provide this to this committee. I can go through the entire list if it is okay. Then maybe we can be able to table the document later to this committee, if that is allowable. So for the list that we have the board chair. The appointment date was 23rd of May 2023. We have a board chair, Raymond Tonui. We have Edna Sigei. We have Janet Chemngetich. We have Patrick Kibetrotich. We have Pastor Wilson Barusei. We have Rose Chepkemwa Tele, and also Francis Korir, and Paul Kering, and then Simeon Franklin Korir. They were all appointed on the 23rd of May 2023 by the CEC of Health in BOMET County. Thank you.
So, Chair, my follow-up question is, why didn't they provide these documents to the auditors when they were on the ground? And this was done in May 2023, and auditors were there just the other day. Where were these documents not provided to them?
Provided. If you look at Annex 7.1, there are sets of documents there. Maybe the auditor can tell us whether they were provided after the audit or during the audit.
That's why he's asking whether he can put this.
Was it after or during the audit?
Chair, the list of the committee as alluded by the doctor was not provided. What was provided was a list of the management team. All right. Yeah.
Or a list.
Yeah,
So these letters that
yeah.
I attached here, you did not see them?
Yeah.
Chair, that is why he's saying he will read, and if he's allowed to table them on this at this committee, he will, when they have not been scrutinized by the auditors, which is impossible, Chair. Can they answer my question then?
Governor?
Thank you very much, Chairman. Before I let my mates respond, but I think these were in the early stages of enacting this law, FIF Act 2023. And as you can confirm, even from the documentation, I think from my officers, there was some confusion between the board and the committee. And even to me, what we have attached may not be relevant to the response, because there is a confusion between management committee and the Hospital Management Committee. So probably that caused the confusion, as you have witnessed even in the attached documentations that we have. Otherwise, based on the provisions that we have in the Act, the board transited to Hospital Management Committee, and we have confirmed that. The only thing that we need to maybe provide is evidence to firm up our response that this board has been in place, and we transited the same board into the committee by the provisions of the Act. Otherwise, I want to admit probably there were confusion. You know, initially we have to have boards and committees of the hospitals, and that one has been confirmed by the documentations that we have supplied to you, which to me are now irrelevant to the query that was raised by the auditors.
Chair, through you, Chair, I'm sure when the auditors come to the ground, they'll give you records of or a list of what they need to see and what they need to have. And I'm sure this was done. Auditor, can you confirm this?
Through Chair, we confirm that in the process of auditing, there is constant communication of the documents we require. And in the inception meetings, we usually have a list of those documents. Thank you.
Thank you, Auditor. Through you, Chair. So what confusion is the governor talking about? Because the auditor is very clear that they give a list of what they need and what they want. And by the time they leave there, your people would have provided. Governor, please, let these people be, on their mistakes. Don't defend them, because you are not even here to answer their questions. They should answer why they did not provide the auditor with what the auditors needed.
Yeah, honorable members, all I would want to confirm from the governor, was these names gazetted? Were they gazetted?
They were.
Yeah, so I think you will need to give us a gazette notice of the same. How much time do you need?
At most 1 week, you have it.
7 days.
Yes.
7 days. So you give us for our records so that we confirm that indeed that these people have been legally been appointed to their position. And we have also confirmed that there is also a transition clause in the law to allow the board that was there to transition to the committee. But before I conclude, Senator Sige, I'm giving you the leeway because that's your county. So let me give you
thank you, Chairman.
The last opportunity on this before we move to the other, because there are quite a number of issues and time is not on our side, members.
Thank you, Chairman, and I appreciate the accommodation. I just wanted to clear something, because there is no confusion as regards what the law provides. That is why we have law in place. There is no confusion as to whether there is hospital management team or facility management team, because the law under Section 14 provides what constitute the hospital management team. And if the governor wants to say that the 4 whom they submitted their names belong to the hospital management team, and therefore the answer is irrelevant to the question that was queried by the auditor, then he is still even unlawfully managing the hospital, because these are 4 officials. Section 14 provides for membership to the hospital management team comprising of medical superintendent, hospital administrator, hospital accountant, and hospital procurement officer, and all departmental heads. We ought then to have had this. And this is where we have a problem, Chairman, because you put in your people, you leave out the rest of the management team so that you can facilitate theft and stealing by your team. Because as long as we don't have the relevant people sitting in there, nobody, including the public, will not be able to tell what is it that is being collected, how the hospital is being managed, and it can only be because we want to say we had some confusion and we were unable to know who is supposed to sit in the medical team. So Section 14 and 17 are different. And therefore, the hospital is actually being managed illegally by people who are not formally, by law, managing the institution because they ought to have been appointed. Even if it was about transition, then we ought to have had the 9 whom we've been given the list, plus 4. That goes beyond the 9 that Section 17 also provides. So this confusion as regards transition is not confusion that is justified. It's confusion that is intentionally being processed to facilitate mismanagement of the institute. And that's the only reason why we are saying we can't be just sitting and saying, let's get this list, let's get these names, provide these documents after the event. Because the reason as to why the auditor was making this comment is because they didn't get the documents. Whether or not, Chairman, you will admit this documentation now will not serve the purpose of this inquiry, because I have raised an issue. You have raised an issue. You have provided for documentation on the floor. Yet you ought to have had the benefit of the auditor doing an inquiry into it and giving you a report as the chairperson so that we can guide now the governor and his team on how they are to comply and do proper management and comply with the law. So I still insist, Chairman, that there is no confusion.
Indeed, there is no confusion because Section 17 provides for the facility management committee, but Section 14 talks about the hospital management team. So those are two different entities, bodies. So the query in question was referring to Section 17, Section 17 of the Act. That's why members were focused on that. But then there is a bigger committee which is defined under Section 14. So, Governor, do you have this committee in place? The one indicated in Section 14.
Chairman, I think I'll follow what been advised to do by Senator Agnes. So can my mates group confirm this?
Honorable Chair, yes, we have a hospital management committee team which consists of 15 members of our staff. They assist the management in making decisions in various aspects of the hospital. And they are mostly healthcare workers who work within the hospital. The Hospital Management Committee, which was formerly the board, now has a minimum of 7 and a maximum of 9. We have 9 members, which I've read through just a few moments ago. We just attached the 4 as a sample of the hospital management team that we already have in place. Thank you.
And Chair, you know, he never answered my question because the governor took over. Through you, Chair, can the governor instruct the CEC to answer my question? Why were these documents not given to the auditor by the time they were on the ground, if they were there?
So just hold on to your question. The documents attached looking like in support of the facility management committee and not Section 14. Oh, is the other way around? Then they don't. Yeah, then we need an explanation as to whether these comply with Section 14. Whether they comply with Section 14, Governor. Because this looks like the routine officers in the hospital and not what is contemplated under Section 14.
Thank you, Chairman. I don't want to speak on behalf of my people once again, but I think we don't want to defend this list that is given to us, and the documentation is actually for Section 14 management team and not the hospital management committee as provided under Section 17. So I can't defend that. That is for management team as provided under Section 14. So, and the auditors have also confirmed that the list that was given to them was not as provided under Section 17. But I think the list that was given to the auditors is as provided under Section 14. So the mistake is on my side, not on the auditors. So they are right in pointing out this.
And Governor, it's not on your side. Why are you defending your people? Because they'll keep on failing you. Let them answer why they did not provide the documents, because he says that the 9 are there and they're in place.
Honorable Chair, I want to admit that it was a honest mistake, and if called upon to provide the list, we can be able to provide the full list of the Hospital Management Committee.
Thank you. Governor, don't be taking their
So
responsibility.
let me vary my earlier direction. We want the governor to provide the gazette notice in reference to Section 14 and another gazette notice in reference to Section 17. Because those are two different teams. Yeah.
I don't know whether we have a cassette notice for Section 14 because the names keep changing. These are staff, majorly. But for 17, I think it's a standing committee. So I don't think we have a cassette notice for 14, but we have one for 17. I'm not sure, but I can be advised by the lawyers. Thank you.
Okay. I really want us to make progress.
Yes, one last, Chairman. I'll be very happy to hear from the MedSoup. How many departments do they have in the hospital?
Currently, Honorable Chair, we are actually undergoing a restructuring. Where
How many departments do you have, Dr.
It is more than 47.
More than 47
departments, yes.
Okay. I want to take you back to Section 14. Section 14 requires 4 certain specific individuals and all heads of departments. He told us he's got a team of 15. So I'm assuming that the 15 comprises the 4 plus all heads of departments. There are 47 departments. The law requires them to sit in the hospital management team, and we're looking at 47 plus 4, 51. Dr. Ari, we want to help you to manage this hospital because we are beneficiaries of that facility when it is working well. When it has proper management, when it has medical facilities operational at optimum, and as long as we don't get right at the management level, we will just be going around and playing games, which is not helping the people of BOMET. I want you to confirm, you have 15 management team or you have 51? Because the law requires you to have all heads of departments in that team.
Honorable Chair, we currently have 15 appointed by the CEC as members of the hospital management team, simply because a team of 51 is too huge for...
Dr. Ari, I'm a lawyer. The law knows that. So you cannot tell the law that you are wrong. Just say something else, but not that simply because of what you wanted to say. Chairman, I'm sorry because that was going the wrong way. I mean...
Chair, I don't think the MedSoup understood the question by Senator Sigay, because I don't think fairly. Do you really have 47 departments? I don't think so. Because what's a department? I don't think they are 47. Maybe you do not understand.
Honorable Chair, those are sections, sections of the hospital. They are sections of the hospital, Honorable Chair.
Departments.
Now, give us the number of departments that you have.
Yes.
We have 15.
15 departments.
Yes.
Chairman. Dr. Hari, through the chair, kindly allow us to get these 15 departments. I want us to help this facility. I want us to help the governor. I want to help the METSU so that we help the people of BOMET and the facility to run. 15 departments, Dr. Hari. Are you able to list them? As a practitioner, you should be able to know them by the tip of your fingers.
Chairman, as much as I don't want to defend him, he's relatively new. He's hardly 3 months in the office. So what he should do is to give us the list of the departments, because it's not 47, as far as I know. It's less than that. How many departments do we have, even in the national government? So it's less than that. So, this is his first time also to appear before such committee. So probably he's panicking, but I don't want to defend him.
Okay, let me do this. You will give us the gazette notice of the committee, and you give us a list of the management team in the 7 days that I asked you. So I think honorable members are spending more time on this matter, because if the management is weak, the hospital will be weak. Just like the way we saw for municipalities. If there is no proper board, if there is no independency, then everything else will be affected. So please provide that. Honorable members, we are constrained of time. We have a number of queries in this report, which are very important. And we also have a whole entity to go, BOMET Water. So I want to change our approach a bit to ask the auditor to just, on every query, instead of reading out the entire query, because we have the query with us, just give a brief on each of those queries, and then so that we save on time, and then governor will also make a comment on that, and then members can raise issues. And this is how I want it to be handled. We have a significant number of queries on the matter of inaccuracies and errors in financial statement. We have the matter of inaccuracy in transfer from county government, inaccuracy of total revenue, non-disclosure of property, plant, and equipment, inaccuracy of employee costs, non-disclosure of receivables from exchange transactions, inaccuracy of accumulated deficit. Those are all inaccuracies. So I would like you to comment on that, and then Governor will respond, and then the members will weigh in.
Thank you, Chair. I can start with inaccuracy of transfers from the county government, whereby note 6B to the financial statements indicated that the hospital was to receive 121,054,540, but in the financial statements, only 119,054,540 has been disclosed, which is the actual cash received. But since we are doing accrual accounting, all the amount expected should have been disclosed. Number 2, inaccuracy of total revenue. We have total revenue amounting to 119,054,540, but this amount excludes an amount of 82,960,530 received from the National Health Insurance Fund, that's NHIF, during the year under review. Further, we are saying the revenue which was to be received by the hospital was received by the county government instead of the money being received by the hospital. Then there is an expenditure which is incurred by the county executive on behalf of the hospital in terms of 173 medical and non-medical staff whose salaries and allowances are paid by the county government, but this expenditure has not been disclosed as an income or an expenditure in the hospital books. Then we have non-disclosure of property, plant, and equipment. The statement of financial position reflects near property, plant, and equipment. I have a review of hospital records revealed that the hospital possesses various assets including land, building, civil works, motor vehicles, furniture, computers, and medical equipment of unknown values, which have not been disclosed, although they are used to generate income for the hospital. Further, the ownership documents of the land was not provided. Then inaccuracy of employee costs. The statement of financial performance reflects employee costs amounting to 3.9 million as disclosed in Note 8 to the financial statements. Review of records revealed that the hospital received services from 173 medical and non-medical. That's the one we wanted it to be treated as income and expense at the same time. So this one is related to the issue we had in paragraph 2. Then the next is non-disclosure of receivables from exchange transactions. The financial position statement reflects near balance of receivables from exchange transactions. However, records reveal that NHIF owes the hospital 19,261,070, which has not been paid, but has not been disclosed in the financial statements. The next about inaccuracy of trade payables. The statement of financial position reflects trade and other payables totaling 36,199,564. The amount includes trade payables amounting to 32,199,564 as disclosed in Note 14 the financial statement. However, the trade payables excludes payables due to KEMSA amounting to 12,492,223. Then we have inaccuracy of accumulated deficit. The statement of financial position reflects accumulated deficit amounting to 830,707. The amount, however, differs with the accumulated deficit amounting to 7,070,027 reflected in the statement of changes in net assets, resulting in an explained variance of 6,239,320. So those are the inaccuracies in the financial statements.
So just, Governor, you can respond briefly to those queries.
Thank you, Chairman. On inaccuracy number 1 on transfer from county government, the total transfer from the county government of BOMET for the financial year 2023-2024 was 124,054,540. And the additional 2 million transferred by the county treasury on 30th June, that is on the close of the financial year 2023-2024, was received by the hospital on 2nd July. That was on the the following financial year 2024-25. And this could not be captured in the hospital financial statement for the previous year, that is 2023-2024. And that is the cause of this inaccuracy.
Maybe we can stop there and we hear comments from members. Comments, Mbogwa?
Thank you, Chair. Maybe before we proceed, the auditor can give us the
identity of the accountant who signed these accounts.
Okay, through chair, the financial statements were signed by the head of finance by name Robert Rono. This pack number 22744.
Is he here?
Honorable Chair, around.
Robert, are you the one who prepared this financial statement?
Yes, Honorable Chair.
Why would you prepare a financial statement with the glaring inaccuracies?
According to as per my statement, financial bank statement, those are the money that reflected in this financial year, that is by 2nd July. And by the time I was closing the books, I had not received any confirmation for the transfer of the amount. That's why it's not captured. And it will be captured in financial statement for the year 24-25.
What is the ISPAC status?
I still have 20 CBD to complete to be in a good standing by the end of the year.
So you are not in good standing?
I still have 20 units only remaining to be on good standing.
Just say you are not in good standing.
Yes, at the moment. Yes, sir.
You are not in good standing. Are you actually the one who prepared this financial statement? I have a reason why I'm asking.
Yes, Honorable Chair.
And signed?
Yes, Honorable Chair.
And you know the implication of signing a financial statement with inaccuracies and errors?
Yes, Honorable Chair.
I think maybe before you progress, because all these issues, inaccuracies, should not arise if a qualified accountant is looking at it. I will allow the legal officer to read out the provisions, relevant provision to the conduct of accountants and their performance in the Accountants Act and also the Public Sector Accounting Standards Board.
Okay, through you, Chair. Under the Accountant Act, there is the requirement for one to have the practicing certificate and license for the year. And Section 18 on the requirement for a practicing certificate, where no person shall practice as an accountant unless is the order of a practicing certificate and a license to practice that are in force. And any person who contravenes subsection 1 commits an offense and is liable on conviction to a fine not exceeding 500,000 shillings or to imprisonment for a period not exceeding 3 years or to both. And then through Chair, on the PFM, that is on the county government on preparation of financial statements, that responsibility is under Section 149 on the roles of the accounting officers, and then on compliance with the standards prescribed by the Accounting Standards Board. That is, we have Section 163, subsection 1 on the county government to prepare annual financial statement, and of relevance is subsection 1, that at the end of which financial year, the county treasury shall, for the county government, consolidate the annual financial statement in respect of the county government entities in formats that are prescribed by the Accounting Standards Board. And then the annual reporting by accounting officers, that is under Section 164, and the relevant section is subsection 1 rather, that at the end of which financial year, the accounting officer for a county government entity shall prepare financial statement in respect of the entity in formats to be prescribed by the Accounting Standards Board. And then the roles of the Accounting Standards Board under the Part 6 of the Public Finance Management Act, rather, where under its functions, that is Section 194, among the functions is that the Accounting Standards Board is to provide frameworks and set generally accepted standards for development and the management of accounting and financial systems by all state organs and public entities, and shall in particular perform the following functions, among them to set generally accepted accounting and financial standards, and also prescribe the minimum standards of maintenance of proper books of account and for all levels of government, and also to prescribe, among other, performance of financial statements and reporting by state organs and public entities. And then through you, Chair, under this, the Public Finance Management Act County Government Regulations, that is Regulation 210, Regulations 210 on the offenses of financial misconduct. Among the financial misconduct is failing to keep proper records or conceal or wrongfully destroy information that is required to be recorded.
Maybe Chair, I can add another.
Yeah, proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe we can also add the PFM Regulation 13, subsection 2, which reads that it is the duty of any county public officer signing any document or record pertaining to a financial transaction to read and satisfy himself or herself that it is proper to give his or her signature, and his or her signature shall be evidence of acceptance of responsibility for the document, whether the public officer read it or not.
Now, that is the most relevant one. That one. So I think the accountants, this committee has decided to be very strict on the issue of financial statements. And you will be individually liable for signing financial statements which have errors or have inaccuracies. Because we are beginning to think that these inaccuracies or errors could not just be inaccuracies. They are actually fiduciary risk. They are actually fiduciary risk because, for example, we are talking about NHIF 82.9 million, which was received but is not included in the revenues. So how can that happen? We are talking about 3.9 million in reference to employee costs, salaries and all that, which is also not disclosed in the financial statement. And then this matter of commingling, you find some transactions are in the executive financial statement and others are in the hospital financial statement. That should not arise if you are a member of ISPAC. That should not arise. If a transaction has been recorded in the hospital, let it be in the hospital. It should not again appear in executive reporting, because that is double reporting in accounting. And those are basic. I never did accounting, but I did business studies. I remember. Those are basic things. So I think this is important, and Governor, this needs to be very clear to your staff that we are not going to be very kind on these mistakes. In fact, we have said that any accountant who is a member of ISPAC, who willingly or knowingly signs financial statements that are not correct, we will report you to ISPAC. And in fact, we have even said we want ISPAC to be sitting in our meetings so that they get to see these issues firsthand. Yeah, because we cannot continue having this kind of financial statements which generate audit queries which can be avoided if you do your work well.
Through you, Chair.
Yes.
I just wanted to know if the cash that flows in the hospital is used within the hospital according to FIF accounts.
That's supposed
Funds.
to be the case. That's the law.
Yeah, that's a law, but
Yeah.
I want to know if this is the case in these hospitals.
Yeah. So, Governor, please.
Chairman, thank you. As I respond to Senator Agnes, I want to also just support you in what you have said. I don't want to take responsibility for errors that are committed by my people because they are experts. I'm not trained in accounting. And I've always insisted that they have to be in good standing with their regulatory bodies. In fact, even before we appeared before this committee, that's what I've been telling the CEC and the CEO. Please make sure that our people are in good standing. And even we have facilitated some of them. Like for HR, sometimes we pay. For our lawyers, we pay so that they are in good standing. So we should not have excuses. I agree, Chair. And as I respond to Agnes, Senator, I want to say the anomalies noted by the Auditor General with respect to the 82 million that was received from the NHIF in the year under review, of course, was due to the fact that the Facilities Improvement Financing Act of 2023 was enacted during the same financial year under review. And neither had it been budgeted, this money had been budgeted for, nor because the law was coming into effect. However, during the financial year 2024-2025, management has proposed for budgetary allocation for FIF as appropriation in 8 in the supplementary budget. And we are glad to report that the county government of BOMET through Department of Finance and Economic Planning has since appointed a receiver of revenue. With the passage of the FIF Fund Act 2023, the hospital has been given the responsibility to collect, utilize, and report on its local revenue. Furthermore, the services received from the staff, because I want to respond to the other section of that question, from staff paid by the county government is reported by the county government under its financial statement, since the staffing role is still within the county government. However, the management will henceforth report under hospital financial statement as kind contribution from the county government. So I want to confirm that this act is now fully in place and the facilities are collecting money and they are utilizing those funds within the facilities.
Senator Sige, on these particular issues of inaccuracies?
I've got, Chairman, I'll ask to pass because I'm just trying to align the comments by the governor vis-a-vis the comments by the auditor, and I wouldn't want to ask a question that will not help the facility to improve. Because the most unfortunate thing, Honorable Chair, is that I'm looking at the comparison as regards this particular inaccuracy in transfer from county government vis-a-vis the total revenue. My question will spill over to the mode of collection, to also now the aspect on preparation of those accounts. Kindly allow me to pass so that I combine as one question with regards to the inaccuracies on financials and reporting.
Okay. So, any other comments from members?
Chair, my comment is just one through you to the governor. Even as the accountant and the CECs are answerable to the mismanagement of all these issues, you still are the CEO of BOMET County. So everything falls back to you. So you have to step your feet down and make sure that they do the right things. And make sure that even the accountant, before they sign, they make any report, you know that they are in good books with the ISPA. Thank you, Chair.
And Governor, I also want you to comment on the non-disclosure of receivables, where you received 19.2 million from NHIF, which was not recorded in the financial statement as a receivable. That's query number 5.
Thank you, Chair. The responsibility for collection and accounting of revenue during the financial year under review was still with the county government of BOMET, Division of Revenue. During this period, there was no clear framework for reporting FIF, since the Act was passed during the same financial year under review. However, we are glad to report that the county government of BOMET, through Department of Finance and Economic Planning, has since appointed a receiver of revenue with the passage of the Facility Improvement Act 2023. The hospital has been given full responsibility, as I reported before, to, of course, collect, utilize, and report on its local revenue. The management endeavors to amend the financial statements under previous year's adjustment to reflect the receivable from exchange transactions of 19 million. And here, even as we are speaking, we still have outstanding NHI to a tune of, I think, 89 million. So which, when we receive, it will come to our facility. So how will it be treated? So it applies to this 19 million that was received in 2023-2024 financial year.
Auditor, what is your comment on that?
Thank you, Chair. The FIF Act came into operation in 2nd November 2023. I think what the county government should do is to do what we call cut-off. It should identify those transactions which were before the Act and after. So any transaction which was after the FIF Act should automatically move to the hospital, because the records are clear. Yeah. And what was not then can remain with the county executive. Thank you, Chair.
Yeah, I think that advice is important. The transaction that took place before, that can be handled, but the transaction that took place after FIF, they need to be reflected as such. Honorable members, even as Senator for BOMET is trying to scan through, I would like us to quickly look at another very important query: expired medical supplies. Auditor, you can give us a brief on that.
Thank you, Chair. I can read the query. That's paragraph 6 of lawfulness and effectiveness of use of public resources. The statement of financial position reflects inventories balance amounting to 35,366,574. The balance was in respect of pharmaceutical supply as disclosed in Note 13 to the financial statements. However, physical verification and review of the store records revealed that the store had in stock 85 units of expired drugs of undetermined value, including intraocular lenses and AVR sets, which had not been disposed of, together with some units which were still stored in the unexpired drugs in the stores. This was contrary to the guidelines of good distribution practices for health products and technologies in Kenya under Section 3.7.3, which requires that health products and technologies due to expire must be sold and or distributed in accordance with the first expiry, first out principle. Further, medical superintendent had not established a disposal committee to verify and process all disposal recommendations as required by Section 163 of the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. In the circumstances, the The value for money on the expired drug supplies could not be confirmed, and management was in breach of the law. Thank you, Chair.
Governor, what's your comment on that?
Chair, thank you. The management is committed to addressing the issue of expired medical supplies at the hospital and ensuring compliance with all the relevant laws and guidelines. The hospital has established a disposal committee in compliance with the Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act 2015. The committee is responsible for identifying, verifying, and recommending the disposal of unserviceable assets. The disposal committee is developing a disposal plan outlining the steps and timelines for disposal of unserviceable assets. And perhaps I should add for commodities, Chair, that we now have a system that can monitor. So when they are received, even the date of expiry is captured. And to reduce on this, because this loss of public funding, because when something expires, it is disposed. We have, every quarter we now have medical camps so that at least we can identify those commodities that are almost maybe having 6 to 8 months. Make sure that we don't dispose when there are people in need. So those are some of the measures that we have put in place. A strong system that can monitor and so that it can prompt even when we forget, because we tend to forget as human beings. But if we have a system that can monitor, at least we can be given that alert. I don't know, they have said it for how many months, but it is now in place, Chairman. But it is true, there were some commodities that were expired when the audit was done.
Okay. Governor, you know, this is another very common query in nearly all county hospitals. Expired drugs. How do drugs expire in these hospitals? All over, even in my own county, we have a problem with expired drugs. And I think it's not just about the system, there is something else. Because all of a sudden, if you observe, the chemists around the hospital, around the county hospitals, are doing so well. They are doing so well. The other day I saw the governor of Mombasa giving out an order that he's going to close all the chemists around the hospital. Why is this happening? I think there is something that you governors need to deeply investigate in these hospitals. In my own county, a chemist next to a referral hospital has become a bigger hospital than the main hospital. What usually happens? What is the real story around expired drugs in our hospitals?
Thank you.
And Chair, just
Yes,
so that you can answer all together through you, Chair, is there any way the governors can communicate with KEMSA when the drugs are about to expire, they return them, they get fresh, than wasting all these funds?
Before you come in, I think this is a topic of interest. I see Mark wants to say something.
Thank you, Chair. In fact, in the audit report, there's a query on weak internal controls in stores and inventory management. So maybe if the auditors read that, then you can see exactly where the problem lies.
Yeah. So let me allow the auditor to read that as well.
Thank you, Chair.
And then, Governor, we can summarize all that.
This is paragraph 2 of report on effectiveness of the internal control, risk management and governance. Weak internal controls in stores and inventory management. The review of the store's records revealed that the hospital lacked an inventory management policy that defines the issuance system adopted for pharmaceutical and non-pharmaceutical supplies, including replenishment of stock, receipt and dispatch of drugs, inspection of available stock, and how stock expiry was tracked and disposal undertaken. Further, the stores had an inventory management system that was not linked to the pharmacy records and therefore could not track drugs after they had been issued to the pharmacy. This was contrary to section 3.73 of the guidelines for good distribution practices of health products and technologies in Kenya, which requires that a written procedure must be in place to ensure effective stock rotation. In the circumstances, the effectiveness of internal controls implemented in the stores department to safeguard against possible losses could not be confirmed. Thank you, Chair.
Yes, that is related in a way to this one, because if you don't manage your stores and inventories very well, then you can't manage the expiry process of drugs. But as I said, I think there is a deeper problem. Even the hospitals that have HMIS, they still have this problem. So it's not entirely a system issue. There must be something, because we cannot have all the hospitals having the same query, weak expired drugs. And some even run into millions of money in value. So, Governor.
Thank you, Chairman. And you have put it right, because it sounds a bit ironical that I'm being accused that there are no drugs in my facilities. And at the same time, I'm being accused that the drugs are expiring in the shelves. The two cannot speak to each other. And I want to agree, Chairman, that I think we have a bigger problem. We have tried, like what you have mentioned about the chemists, because partly, and this one is what we have been fighting with my officers, the owners of some of those shops are actually my own people. Or if they are not my own people, they are relatives of the people who have been employed. I've had instances, even received complaints from my own people that they have gone, the prescription has been done, they have gone to dispensing area and they are told there are no drugs. But sometimes when they call, because some of them know me, and then they tell me, you know, Governor, I've been told there's no this drug and so forth. You call, and then somehow the drug is in the shelf. So we must go deeper, as you have said, to find what is the motivation behind this story of there are no drugs in government hospitals. Could it be a way of promoting businesses outside? And that's why, as senators, I think we must also see how we can manage that, maybe through a law or something. We've been trying, and it has been very challenging for us as governors, because I can't be accused of expired drugs and no drugs at the same time. The two cannot match. Chairman, the other thing that has been mentioned, KEMSA, I think, also have the same problem of expired. I think last year they destroyed drugs worth billions of shillings. So as much as we would want to flood the same to KEMSA, it might also be a challenge. There was even a system that was, the KEMSA talked about it in 2020 or 2019, a system that integrates KEMSA systems with our systems in hospital, so that even they can monitor the flow of drugs, and then when the level is almost falling, then they can alert. It can also be the same story with drugs that are almost expiring. But the logistics of working around that can be very challenging, because who will take the loss? Is it KEMSA or the county? Because KEMSA must also be facilitated so that they can procure drugs. But if they are taking back drugs that are expired, it means even the support that we are giving to KEMSA to facilitate them so that we ensure that we have supplies to our hospitals will be a challenge to them. So, Chairman, I want to admit, as governors, we have a problem. And the other issue, although not related to this, but we must find a way of also managing, is we have employed people in our facilities. Of course, Metsup is here. I don't think he'll be very happy because he has also his colleagues. But the same people have opened clinics all over. So 90% of their time is in their clinics. Of course, we have time that is prescribed for consultants and specialists. They spend less time in our facilities. And then most of their time in their facilities. So those are some of the things that we need to align so that we don't look like we are not doing what is supposed to be done by a governor or a CEO of a county. But sometimes, in terms of interventions that can put into place, we are tied, kind of. Because when you say a consultant should spend how many hours in a hospital? In a week?
In a week, for at least 40 hours.
So per day, that translates to what?
8.
Huh? Consultant and specialists.
Yes, it is. It is.
I don't think maybe you need to confirm, but a lot of their time is being spent outside, and that's why I'm saying we need the support of the Senate to see how we can manage some of these issues, because we could be addressing symptoms instead of addressing the underlying problem. And that is why this query has been recurring every year and in all the 47 counties. So we have a big problem, but as I had mentioned, partly I'd answered this. We put in place systems, but the same people can beat the systems. We have medical camps to offload drugs, as I have mentioned, so that it does not go into waste. In fact, we have even partnered with KEMSA. We normally write to them when they have medical camps, and they've been able to support and other institutions. And I think it's a way also of assisting them so that they don't dispose drugs at the end of the year that would have assisted our own people. So those are some of the barriers that we have put in place, but we have an underlying problem that all of us should address.
Indeed, this is a very serious problem. I saw even in one county, a governor launches distribution of drugs to hospitals, and then a week later, people are complaining there are no drugs in hospitals. So I think it's a serious problem, and we would recommend that the relevant Committee of Health to do an inquiry around this issue of medical, expired drugs. It's just every hospital in the county has this problem. So we need to get to the root of it, to get to know what happens. Is KEMSA to blame? Do they supply drugs which are almost nearing expiry? And why are they accepted and paid for if they are nearing expiry? And then how is the prescription process in hospitals done? Are they prescribing patients to go and buy drugs outside when we have drugs in the hospital? There are so many issues that needs to be investigated.
Chair, as you make the recommendation, I think the governor should commit himself to this committee specifically about BOMET County. What steps, after you have realized that you are accused of lack of drugs in the health facilities, yet the drugs are expiring in stores, and there are systems for kind of follow-ups to know even from the storekeepers. I think the Met should respond to this. What happened specifically about your county? The chair is raising concern across many counties, yes, but in your county, when you realize this, what steps did you take to make sure that lives of people in BOMET are not put at risk because of that?
Honorable Chair, for Longisa County Referral Hospital, I can confirm that the drugs that we actually have at the facility includes also drugs from the, we do mop-up of expired drugs from the other, so that we store them centrally for processing, for destroying and destroying the drugs, and actually disposing the drugs include getting a court order for it to be for us to be able to do the destruction. So at the moment, to answer Honorable Senator, we have established a disposal committee at the hospital, which we are looking at all the drugs. We are listing all the drugs that are expired in the hospital for the purposes of getting that court order for disposal of the medicines that are in the facility. But as of now, we do not store the drugs, the medical drugs that are expired with the the other drugs that are not expired. They are in a separate store, just to comply with the standards for storage of HPTs. Thank you.
Chair.
Yeah, I hope you will take the shortest
I
time.
just needed to, because I read a lot. You know, what the MEDSUP is telling us is different from what is noted by the auditor. That's why actually I'm intervening. Because it's very bad to manage this committee and misinform, including the public, whom I'm sure they're following up on this. Dr. Ari, if you look at note 13, you've just said that you've stored them separately, because, by the way, Chairman, this is a serious concern. The value of these expired drugs is 35 million. 35 million Kenya shillings. That is a lot of resources. Number two, Longisa Referral Hospital is not a small facility. The entirety of the South Rift, a good number of people go for medical attention there. And it's not something to just pass and say, we are losing 35 million Kenya shillings because we have mopped up drugs from other facilities. Two, the note from the auditor still reflects that you did not have a disposal committee as at the time of the audit. You've just told us that you have an existing disposal committee. If we don't have those documents now, it means they were not available. There was no disposal committee. The drugs which were expired were mixed with the drugs which were still in use. And by the way, Chairman, these are identified 85 units of expired drugs. You can imagine 85 units of expired drugs in such a hospital. How many of our people from BOMET would be dispensed with such expired drugs? So I was intervening because I'm reading something else, the MEDSUP is telling us something else.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe before MEDSUP also responds to the same, I think the Senator is also reading something different from what is in the notes. The value is undetermined, and that is in the notes. So it is not worth 35 million. So that we don't misquote, then tomorrow it will make headlines, and it is not factual. So
in which we appointed a team to do disposal for the drugs in the health facility. We are trying to look for the annexure.
Laikipia is here waiting to come in, and you still need some few minutes for a break.
I wanted just confirmation from the MEDSUP as to when was this committee put in place, so that I'm able to reconcile the report from the auditor vis-a-vis the report that we've just been told on the floor.
So, Honorable Chair, the committee was put in place on the 15th of July 2024.
So proceed. Proceed, Senator.
Still on the sermon, you see, the governor is worried that when I mention figures of resources lost, I'm misleading the public. The note 6, governor, is where I picked the figure of 35 million. Just for your information, the statement of financial position reflects inventories balance of Kenya shillings 35.366574. That is why I picked that figure. And I'm picking it because it's in the context of the question that I'm asking, so that we don't tell the public what is not there and what is there. Chairman, I had requested that you allow me to
Can you allow me to read from where he left, Chairman? Huh?
At what I'm on the floor, Chairman.
And just to correct, because it will be misleading.
You want me to continue reading?
And yes.
Let me proceed. The balance was in respect of pharmaceutical supplies as disclosed in Note 13 to the financial statements. However, physical verification and review of the store records revealed that the hospital had in stock 85 units of expired drugs of undetermined value, including intraocular lens and AVF.
So where
sets,
is
which
the
had
5 million
not
coming from
been
there?
disposed of together with some units which were still stored with the unexpired drugs in the stores. That is what the note says. Chairman, now.
Yeah, actually it's there in the query, Governor, because if you read the query from the first sentence, it says, the statement of financial position reflects inventories balance of Kenya shillings 35 million. The balance was in respect of pharmaceutical supplies. Yeah, so
Governor, that is where I picked the figure from of 35 million. I don't do politics. I'm trying to assist you to support the people to get services. Chairman, my question back to...
Chair, maybe just to cut you short, Senator, maybe Governor has another figure on these medical supplies. We might want to accommodate you and see whether you are impeaching this figure.
I'm just wondering, Senator, through the chairman, when we say had stock of 85 units of expired drugs of undetermined value. So how do we arrive at the 5 million if it is, this one is undetermined? That is my question. Yes, I admit there are drugs that are expired, but we have not quantified the value. And as Metsuba has indicated, it does not, it's not Longisa, because we move up. When these drugs are destroyed, they are destroyed centrally because we have to get a
Auditor,
order.
can you guide us? You are the one who did the audit. Guide us or the composition of this 35 million.
Thank you, Chair. Maybe I can read the query. The statement of financial position reflects inventories balance of 35,366,574. The balance was in respect of pharmaceutical supplies as disclosed in Note 13 of the financial statements. However, physical verification and review of the store record revealed that the hospital had in stock 85 units of expired drugs of undetermined value, including intraocular lens and AVF sets, which had not been disposed of together with some units which were still stored with the unexpired. What we mean in this, the expired units are not valued at 35 million, but 35 million is the total stores. But out of that, 85 units of the intraocular lens and AVF sets, whose values were not determined, were also in the store. That's what we meant.
So, Chair, Auditor, are you therefore not able to tell us the value of the expired medical supplies? Are you able to quantify the value so that we are able to find out the loss of money?
Through Chair, we were unable to quantify the value because it was not indicated in the store's records. Thank you.
Yeah, that's why we had another query similar to that on weak internal controls in stores. Honorable members, unless Senator, you have
yes, I wanted to Chairman,
an issue arising from the earlier issues.
Yes,
Yeah,
actually on the
we
finance,
conclude
the
on that.
inaccuracies.
Yes.
I wanted to confirm whether the governor, whether the county assembly has passed their 5 Act.
Yeah, that is why it's in place. Complied with everything, and that's why I'm very confident reporting to this committee.
When was it passed, Governor?
Let me confirm, but it is in place.
You've confirmed that you out of the F5 Act 2023, you have been able to appoint a receiver of revenue to the facility, right? Yes. Who is the receiver of revenue to the facility? The appointed personnel.
Metsup.
That's the Metsup. All right, Chairman.
Okay. So, honorable members, I think I will close at that point. And the matter of water, I think we tried to bite too much that we could not chew. The matter of water, we will set a new date for it, probably with another issue to save on their time. But the two reports that we have handled, the queries that we have not touched on, we will adapt the written responses that they have. But the matter of water, we set a new date to look at BOMET water because of time constraint.
Chairman, will you allow me to ask one last question about the facility?
Yeah, proceed.
Thank you very much. I wanted to find out whether the facility has got a formally approved annual budget. I wanted to know whether Longisa Referral Hospital has got an approved annual budget.
Honorable Chair, yes, we have an approved annual budget for 24-25, approved by the board. No, not here.
Chairman,
that you had after this report or before?
After the report.
Yeah, but we are, we are working in the past, because the past shows that you didn't have an approved annual budget.
Actually, the response, Chairman, is that they had availed these reports to the auditor. I don't know whether that is the position from the auditor or not. Query on the lawfulness and effectiveness in use of public resources. Because
Through Chair, I can confirm that no approved budget was provided to us. Thank you.
Chair, I think we need to be very clear, because we have all agreed that in the year under review, we are transiting. So the referral hospital has its own budget, but it was accommodated under the mother department. So if you check under our budget, and probably that is what they are referring to, you will see the line items for Longisa Referral Hospital. But for the financial year 2024-2025, they have a budget that has been approved by the board.
The 2024-2025, we will have a moment to examine the report once the audit has finished. But having a budget is very important for the hospital. It's one of the key financial instruments that the PFM Act requires the hospital to have. So, honorable members, I know you are running low on sugars, and we have another meeting that is supposed to start now. I will, at this point, close the meeting. But before I do that, I will allow the governor to make closing remarks. The rest of us, please, we can, because of time, allow me, maybe the senator for BOMET and the governor to make closing remarks, starting with and yourself.
Yes, Chair. I stepped out.
I will give you because you come from the Rift. But
not really. Chair, normally, I've told you many times, I only act as the senator for counties from North Drift. South Drift, I don't act because when Sigai, we Washingishu, Nanti, Trans Nzoia, Elgeyo Marakwet County, and up to West Pokot, sometimes I act when the senators are not there. They have given me permission, but North Drift, not yet. So I just wanted to share. You remember we gave interim recommendations last year, sometimes last year on water. So I just wanted to remind the governor. I wanted to find out if the governor responded, and because we gave 60 days, I don't know if he has done it. And if he has not done it, then when we are doing the next letter to invite them for water and maybe another entity, then we also discuss on the interim recommendations we give them so that we know the recommendations we give, they affect them to help them to perform and improve the management of the entities they have. So that is the only thing. And then basically, Sabarinjama back to BOMET.
The governor will address that in his closing remarks.
Yes, that's what I wanted to say before.
So let me give Senator Sigay very brief, and then governor, then we adjourn.
Chairman, I want to appreciate your committee and the team that has organized for this session, because this is a very important session which helps us as the oversight entity of the county governments as well as the county government to look at the challenges that we experience. What we have gone through here is not only, of course, for purposes of an exchange between myself and the governor, but it helps in supporting the facility to improve and even support the governor to improve on his management and his team. Because when we highlight those issues, it is because there is a problem, and that problem can only be corrected when there is a highlight of the same. I would only wish that, because I know there are prior year issues which were raised, including the register on assets, which we didn't get there unfortunately because of time, or also the internal audit and committee within the facility itself and at the county level, where we have the county assembly as a primary and within the facility as another aspect of oversight. How I wish we could have more time so that we interrogate this issue, so that when we have a session next, we are not going back to the issues which has been raised. And lastly, to the auditors, because I believe that the reason as to why we had our special sitting yesterday was to comply with the law, where the law required us to make sure that we submit for purposes of interrogation and recommendations the reports which were done and should be done within 3 months. That is why we sat yesterday. So anything that comes outside that reporting period should and ordinarily supposed not to be used before the committee, because that will just be documentations availed having been given an opportunity to query. Chairman, I'm sorry I'm saying as much, but this is an adversarial process because we want to unbind the things which sabotage the operations of facilities. But otherwise, I want to say thank you for giving me the opportunity. We will speak when we are supposed to, with regards to the roles that we've been given, the same way we do speak by what we did yesterday in asking for additional revenues to the counties. We want to follow that resource to make sure that it's used for the purpose that it's intended.
Okay. Indeed, the motion that you passed yesterday allows us to go back to the unresolved prior year matters. So we will also require the county at some point to respond to unresolved prior year matters. We also passed a resolution that we will, this committee will also visit all the 47 counties to see for themselves what is happening on the ground. Governor, your closing remarks?
Thank you very much, Chairman. And on my behalf and on behalf of my team, I want to appreciate this committee for the way that you have actually treated us. It's been very friendly. And Chairman, we are all here to strengthen ourselves, particularly devolution. So whatever comments that we make, contribution that we make, is to correct the weaknesses that we have in our systems. And I want to appreciate your contribution, Chairman. Secondly, and this can be a proposal, so that we minimize on some of the issues so that we don't also take a lot of time. And when I talk about that, it's like my senator and me, and I'm not just referring to BOMET, but other counties. I would wish to propose that our senators, and in this case, I'm talking of my senator because I'm talking of BOMET, why don't we have time? We talk to the relevant committees within the assemblies. If there are issues, we address in detail, because the committee may not have all the time to address the issues like we have seen. We didn't touch on everything. But I would wish that we'll have a position where we are speaking on the same page with the senator. And I'm not just talking about BOMET. When it comes to you as county chairman, I would wish that you speak on the same page, because you would have handled the issues with the relevant committees. And if there are issues that need to be escalated, and those probably the ones that we now need to iron out within this committee, so that we save also in your time. Because if we come and go into the detail, then we might not have all the time. And it will be unfair to the people of BOMET if issues that are outstanding, issues touching on the resources are not exhausted, so that we can also give them confidence that we are using their resources well. So my proposal, Chairman, I think, and we must speak to ourselves, please let us also take advantage of those committees within the assemblies, sit with them, comb through whatever reports that we have, and if there are issues, then probably this will be the time to highlight those ones which needs to be escalated to other institutions, then we escalate. But if there's something that has been settled, as much as we are dealing with auditors, then I think we must also have Senate dealing with the issues, and they can report directly to the committee through our respective senators. That is my request, Chair. And then finally, as it relates to the issue that has been raised by Senator Kisang, I think we will address because we'll have another opportunity to appear to address the issue of the water company, which is a big one, and probably that is why Chairman is saying we have another session. But I can report preliminarily that we have addressed most of the issues, but we will confirm when we appear next time. Otherwise, thank you, Chairman, for the way that you have handled this meeting and handled me and my team. Thank you.
I don't have a closing remark because of time. All I thank you for coming. I thank the Senator for BOMET for also participating very actively. Indeed, this is what every senator should be doing when we have these oversight meetings of this nature. So I want to encourage you to deal with the issues that have come up in the audit report, particularly the issue of municipality, the issue of independency of the municipality, and also the issues of reorganization of the hospital to align to the FIF Act and to ensure that the hospitals have some autonomy in terms of the way they're being managed and in terms of the way they are managing their revenue. So we are here to correct each other so that our people benefit from good governance. We are not here to exchange each other because of which hand or what. It's just oversight work. And even your proposal, Governor, we try and see how we can harmonize our approaches. The county assembly to do the primary oversight and the Senate to do the secondary oversight. But I want to say that county assemblies must be empowered to do their primary oversight, because the Senate will not wait longer to deal with some matters. They will deal with the matters, some which have been handled by the county assembly to some extent, and the others which have not been handled at all. You will agree with me that before this committee, No one was looking at municipalities. No one was looking at hospitals. No one was looking at funds. They were all there. So I think this is a good thing. I think it's going to improve the way these entities are managed, which is a good thing. So, honorable members, I want